everybody, and welcome back to the March 2020 episode of Watch Out. I'm your host, Drew Pizzulo, and I'm going to be talking about something that I have talked about in the past on an episode of It's About Time. I wanted to give you some updates on the allergic reaction options you have to nickel. Well, people don't believe this is a big problem, but I actually know two people who are my close friends who actually have this problem. So let's send it over to Alexa. Alexa, what is the world's population?
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the world population today is approximately 7.64 billion.
Alexa, what percentage of the population is allergic to nickel?
Here's something I found on the web. According to Bundu.com, nickel is a very common cause of allergic contact dermatitis, occurring in nearly 10% of the population.
So basically, you're talking about roughly something around 750 million people in the world being allergic to nickel. That's a pretty big number. And that's a cause of concern because it does cause allergic reactions, dry skin, like a psoriasis type of reaction to it. And it's something that has to be addressed by the watch companies of today. And there are options out there. People just don't realize what they are. Well, since the last episode that we did a couple years back, I guess back in 2018, we have investigated a lot of these options, tried it out on some test subjects, and gotten the results back. And I wanted to share them with you today, give you an update on what is the most effective. So as you can see, stainless steel obviously contains some form of nickel. So all these bands that you buy, doesn't matter if it's your regular stainless steel or if it's gold tone, whether it's the Speedo bands or whatever you buy, they do have some form of nickel on them. And there are a couple of ways you can get around that. People obviously think of the most common way, which is the leather strap. And this could be made from alligator, it can be made from cowhide, it can be made from crocodile. There's a lot of different types of straps that you can buy that obviously aren't stainless steel. There are problems with it though. Number one, if you're going for these types of bands, most of the time they have a metal piece right here, which is the end piece that connects the two, so you can tighten it on your wrist, which again is going to cause that allergic reaction. Number two, they don't hold up well in water. None of these do. Whether you talk about rubber, you're talking about, leather and crocodile and cowhide, they all, obviously, you don't want to wear them in water. Rubber is a different substance. We'll get to that in 1 second. But speaking of pretty much just leather bands, once they go in the water, what happens when leather goes in water? All of a sudden it starts breaking down. It starts getting brittle when it dries out, and all of a sudden you're up shit's creek and you have to keep getting new bands once it touches water, which is why you don't want to put a leather coat in rain. It's the same reason. So leather is not meant to, maybe water repellent to a certain degree, but it's not waterproof nor water resistant if you're going to go underwater with it. So that is not really a healthy option to deal with the allergic reaction to nickel. I would say from a 1 to 10, this solves your option probably about a 3. I mentioned rubber just before, and you can buy all different types of rubber watches. I mean, here's a good example. And this one's quite expensive. This is around $900. But again, you have different problems when you go with rubber. Yes, it can go underwater. Yes, it holds up better than leather or alligator skin or cowhide, anything like that. But you're going to have the same problem. If you notice over here, which we've zoomed in on, what connects the rubber to the actual watch. In the watch, most 95% of all watches, again, have, even though they have a rubber strap, they have stainless steel plating on the back. They usually do not come with anything else but stainless steel. So whether it's the screws or the backing, again, as soon as your skin touches nickel to these 750 million people, you're gonna have this problem. And quite often we have seen when we've put in this type of watch on people we've tested it out on, they're fine. The whole wrist is fine up until the point where the watch head was, and then all of a sudden they will have that red spot, and it's awkward and it's painful in some cases. You could go with a different substance. Okay, you can go with plastic. Yes, plastic would solve the problem. Your most common plastic watch would probably be your $10 Casio digital watch. The problem with this, again, is the same problem that we have with rubber. Yes, this part is plastic, the band, and the head is actually plastic in here, but the backing is not. The backing is stainless steel. A lot of these watch companies don't want to go to a different substance because stainless steel is the most affordable way to go. And when you're dealing either with digital watches or analog watches, you're going to have that same problem. You're just going to have this giant mark where the stainless steel is, and then you won't have any markings where the plastic is. So rubber and plastic most of the time have the same issue. So those two, again, better options, but not really great. I'd say that would solve your problem from a 1 to a 10, about a 5. So let's start looking into one option that we brought up last episode to see if this worked. This is called Nickel Guard. Nickel Guard is a liquid substance that provides a coating onto the back of the watch. So you could wear a plastic watch or you could wear a rubber watch, and the backing you would cover with Nickel Guard. Well, we tried this out. Substances such as Nickel Guard out, and especially on my friend, my best bud Chris, and what he found was this didn't actually work either. When you start taking Nickel Guard into water, it starts dissolving over a period of time. That will not help you, again, if you bring it into water and it starts wearing off on your skin. The more you have to keep putting more and more and more coats on. It's almost like nail polish, but what happens to nail polish eventually? It chips off and it wears off and it wears down. This is a good short-term 1 or 2 night fix, but it's not a long-term fix. So yes, if you combine Nickel Guard with a plastic watch or a rubber watch, you could get the desired effect. But again, it will solve your problem from a 1 to a 10, about an 8 for a period of time, and then it will start going down to a 7, 6, 5, 4, and then as it wears off, you will have the same problem once again. So these are all issues that we have debunked since the last episode. The Nickel Guard is really not effective. The plastic watch is not really effective. And besides, plastic watches don't tend to last as long as, and they're not made as well, such as Swatch, which Chris also tried out, and that lasted barely a month. So once again, we have problems with the quality, and we have problems with it lasting for a long period of time. The two answers that we have come up with, and they both work, is the first one I'm going to tell you about, which is something that we brought up probably briefly in the first one, but we're really going to focus in on it now because this has been tested and proven, is ceramic. Okay? And nobody makes ceramic better than Rado. Rado, as we know, is the Rolex of ceramic watches. This model is the Ceramica. So as you can see, the entire watch is ceramic. Okay, they come in a variety of colors. You can go with black, you can go with a silver tone. Okay, but you can see even on the inside, this is what I like about this, okay? You can see the inside over here is all ceramic as well. And you say, well, what about this plate over here? That's actually titanium. And the back over here, this is titanium. So you have to find a watch, if you're going to go with ceramic, again, that doesn't have a problem over here. You can't have stainless steel if you find a ceramic watch. It has to be titanium. And the two together, titanium doesn't have the same properties that stainless steel has. So titanium contains no nickel. And with ceramic, obviously, you're not going to be allergic because that, again, has no allergic properties. So your first option would be to be a total ceramic watch. There's several companies that make ceramic watches. I happen to think that Rado is the best of them by far. They last the longest. They have automatic watches. They have, your regular quartz battery watches. This one happens to be a quartz battery watch, and they range anywhere. You can get them used or new, anywhere from $300 to $3,000, depending on the type of model you want. Their Hyperchrome series, they have a ton of them. The Jubilee, the Integral, you go on and on and on. But ceramic will work. From a 1 to a 10, that brings you to about an 8.5 and 9, depending on that one piece backing right here. You just got to make sure that's titanium. And obviously that leads to my number one solution for this allergic reaction problem, which is titanium. An all titanium watch, because titanium is a lighter composition. It's not metal. It's a different type of metal, I guess, if you want to say it actually is metal, but it does not contain any nickel properties. So you're not going to be allergic. Now, we've had this tested on 2 people, and they get extremely allergic to anything, so they were resistant to try it, but once they did, they had no issues whatsoever. And that, to me, is success. Now, the good and bad thing about titanium, the good thing is it's nice and light. Again, it's allergy resistant, so you're not going to have any problems with allergies or those 750 million people who are allergic to nickel. The bad thing is they're not as common. This is the Zenith Defy Lab. Okay, this is a very popular watch now, but it is expensive. It's about $5,000. It's an automatic skeleton, but it would solve the problem. Can go underwater. If you want a cheaper option, there are several brands that offer cheaper options, including Smith & Wesson, which you wouldn't think would offer a solution to this, but usually their watches are anywhere between $50 to $150. And there's other brands that a lot of brands are now starting to offer titanium options. And if you get a titanium option with rubber, or you get a titanium option with plastic or whatever, you won't have any issues as well. But your safest bet is to get an entire watch that is 100% titanium or 100% ceramic. These 2 options will solve the nickel problem. And that is something that I definitely wanted to discuss for this month, because this is important to a lot of people, especially to their health. And I wanted to make sure we got this in for the March episode. So thank you, everybody. Please keep subscribing to the channel. Please list any comments you may have, any other options that I have not covered here that you can possibly think of. Obviously, please don't leave remarks that, oh, you can use your phone. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about watch options. But please leave your thoughts, your opinions, some suggestions for different episodes, as we do one a month on this show. Also, stay tuned for our my other channel as well with Jared on It's About Time, for any new content that we provide there, as well as we like to do things monthly with roster reviews and so forth. Thanks to you guys for joining me today, and I'll see you next month on the next episode of Watch Out.